This is the slate of elders for 2022. And if you were an elder in 2021 and your service, your term has ended, would you mind standing up so that we can recognize you? Those who are no longer serving as elder but did in 21. Thank you, Leon. Thank you so much. And Carl. Thank you, Carl. I'm sorry, I missed you. All right, so we have continuing Mitzi Bryant, Carl Dupe, Daup, Norman Pereira. I can't read my notes because I didn't bring my side. Okay, we have continuing Mitzi Bryant, Carl, Marty Eckelkamp, Sherry Ledbetter, Laura McDermott. Who else do we have? Don Miller and Norm Pereira, and we have Betty Quicksall. Okay. Is it possible to show the slides on the other screen as well so I can see them? No. Okay. All right. I'll just do I'll read it the way that it's printed in the information that was sent out. So we have Carl's an extended term. We have new for 2022, Penny Ross Corona and Ruth Levy and Lori Hoover. So thank you to the elders. For the proposed slate of deacons, for the next slide, we have Kevin Ledbetter is extending a term, Sherry Ledbetter extending a term, David Hosler extending, Marty Eckelkamp extending a term, Ed Bean, Debbie Gray, Matt Finch, Wendy Finch, Deb Schabel, and then substitute deacons Don Miller, Loyalty Miller, and Linda Helm. And then we have new for 2022 proposed Connie Watkins, Cheryl Kinney, Betty Riga, Nick Riga, and Jeff Clifton. So that's our slate for deacons. And then for the proposed members of the core leadership team, we have Tanya Pereira moving from personnel to chair, Cheryl Kinney moving from chair back to personnel, Linda Helm, new to the core leadership team, serving in capacity of mission, Michael Richardson, new for 2022, serving for children and youth ministry, Chris Fairchild, new to the core leadership team 2022, serving as secretary, Bob Brandstetter, new for 2022, serving in the role of finance, Brian Dagetts-Fries, new for 2022, member at large, Loyalty Miller, serving for worship, Kevin Ledbetter, moving from member at large to facilities, and Carl serving as treasurer. So for the officers, for the next slide, requiring approval, Tanya Pereira as chair, Chris Fairchild as secretary, and Carl as treasurer. So now for the next slide, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the slate of deacon, elder, and core leadership team. Somebody to make a proposal. Okay, Mr. Dagetts. And a second, thank you. And so any discussion for the slate of elder, deacon, and core leadership team? All right, if not, then I ask for all those in favor of the proposals to say aye. Aye. And any opposed, say nay. All right, thank you very much. And I did forget because I got flustered. For anybody who served as deacon in 2021 who is going off of that responsibility, if you don't mind standing so that we can recognize you. Anybody who was deacon for 2021, thank you so much. And we recognized earlier the individuals who have left the core leadership team, and thank you for your service. Okay, and so next is the budget, and I know it's going to be hard to see, but it was sent out in advance. And the slide for, okay, yes, it's very hard to see, but I'm going to point out first, for the 2021 budget, I wanted to point out, okay, good job. Apparently, I was a little boring, and so Doug is adding a little levity. All right. But also, he's just so excited about the budget because we did so well. All right, so offering, we actually came out ahead from what was budgeted. Also, for other income, we came out quite a bit ahead. So overall, our income was, I didn't do the math, Scott, but it was a nice sum above what we had budgeted. And our expenses were lower in every area for what we had budgeted and where we came out. And mostly it's because of COVID and doing fewer activities and such, but we budgeted generously and we didn't need to spend as much as we had projected. So the only area where we spent a little bit more than budgeted was for wages and expenses, and part of that was adding Mike as our bass player. So we were really happy that that got approved because that adds to our music. All right, and so we came out ahead with a surplus budget. We came out ahead with a surplus of $62,608. So that's really outstanding. And so your giving, even despite those who are not attending in person, our level of giving has really been quite high. So we hope to continue that. So the next slide is our proposed budget for 2022, and I have a comparison to the 2021 budget, not the actual. But you can see that we are budgeting an increase for other income. So we generate income through the basketball activities that occur in the Wunderlich, and rent and other income that comes into the church. And so we're budgeting a higher amount for that. And then for expenses, we're considering that hopefully for this year, if things settle down with COVID, that we will do more in the way of children's ministry and youth ministry. And so total discipleship amount budgeted is a little higher than 2021. Also with fellowship and mission. But property, we think we could probably come in a little bit lower, so we put a little bit less in the budget for property because we did some major things this year that I'll highlight in a minute. And for other increase in wages and expenses, I wanted to point out that Beth Bean is planning to retire this year, so her plan is to retire by the end of June. And so our plan is that we would start searching for that position in late February, early March, and we would bring somebody in to start shadowing with Beth because those are really big shoes to fill. And so we want the new person to have a lot of time with her to just really see how things operate as the office manager. So we're factoring that in and then having the bass player for the entire year. So the proposed budget for 2022 is proposed with a deficit of $19,000, but we had a deficit budget for 2021, and we ended up with a surplus of $62,608. So that'll cover the deficit and still give us additional funds in case income doesn't come in as planned. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the budget as planned. Okay, Laura. And a second? Jeff? All right, thank you. And any discussion about the budget? Yes.
Under the improvements section,
Mm-hmm.
property, 112,000, what are the plans for using that money?
So Jacob, did you want to speak to that?
I think the question was, what are the improvement plans for property? So the improvement plans for property include the maintenance and everything of the HVAC system. We have a contract with them, and they come out 3 times a year. We're having new gutters put on this week. As you may have seen, the gutters are off. They chose like the coldest day of the year to come out, but they're getting ready to put them back on. And then also with property, we're working on a couple of different projects. One is at the end of the parking lot by the corner where you see the new building next door from the Journey Church. We need to redo some of the landscaping there that was well that they did during their building project. It's not quite where it needs to be. We want to make it look a little nicer and more attractive, and we're working with the Journey Church on that. And then also in that strip of land that separates our parking lot from the Journey parking lot, we're putting trees in there. And then the overall big property that will probably not happen this year, but we know it's going to happen in several years, is the always beloved high-cost parking lot. So,
All right, any other discussion? All right, thank you. So, with no further discussion, I would like to ask all those in favor of the proposed budget to say aye. And all opposed, say nay. All right, we've passed our budget. Very good. All right, so I did want to take a minute to go forward to the next slide. So we just want to celebrate, first of all, the surplus of income that we were able to achieve in 2021 despite COVID. Jacob had a very successful sabbatical, not only for Jacob and his family, but also for the life of the congregation, because we pulled together and we supported one another, and we had time for reflection and thinking about how we might serve the church. We had 2 successful stable sales, really great job. We have a new roof that was installed, and that was covered by insurance. We had new siding installed, which was covered by the building fund. We had different painting projects that Carl and Marlon helped with, and some repairs. We had 1 men's group breakfast, so the men came back and served breakfast to men and women. We had the choir return and Voices for Him return, which we're really excited about. We had Sunday school, adult education return. We had offered children's Sunday school, but I don't think we had any takers for that, but we did offer it. And we had a lot of food that we dropped off. We had a very successful year with our garden, and a lot of food dropped off every week to the Circle of Concern so people could have fresh produce. And then a lot of mission ministries. We had supporting urban outreach. We donated food to Hannah Woods and Circle of Concern. We supported the Isaiah 58 project. The Priscilla Circle had monthly donations and service projects and more. So our church is very strong, and we thank you for all the ways that you support it. So this last slide, I did want to, from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." This speaks to the way that we each support our church and our congregation and our community. And I'm hoping that I can read this whole part. God created each and every one of us with a unique purpose. He equipped us with special personalities and skills so that we might be able to make an impact for His kingdom while on the earth. Christians of the same body, Christians are referred to as brothers and sisters of a family or members of the same body or church community. Each person does his part so that the entire body might fulfill its purpose of bringing the Word of God. So I thank you, and on behalf of the church, I thank each and every one of you for all of the ways that you support our ministry, our community, so that we can go forward as disciples and bring others to us. So, if nothing else, if you can help through your financial giving, through your service, through your prayers for each other and for the community around us and our world, and also to bring others to us. We'd like to be able to grow our congregation. We'd like to have others be part of our community. So thank you again for all that you do. Thank you for those who have served. And just go forth as disciples, supporting each other and our community. Thank you so much, and I'll adjourn our congregational meeting.
Before we do, though, thank you, Cheryl, for all of your leadership and your work and your ministry. And at the beginning of the service, we didn't call her forth to receive a little gift there because she's staying on as personnel chair on the CLT for her second year. So thank you, Cheryl, for your continued commitment to community. So Thank you, everyone.